Politics alert. Now I've got my guitar in hand at least. Yo, that's better. Okay. I am new to guitar, kinda. Right now I'm tuning to drop D with a little bit of a twist. So instead of being a B, this is an A. Instead of being an E, this will be a D. D, A, D, G, A, D. So normally I play in standard tuning, and I've been venturing into drop D. And then in my guitar feed, thank you YouTube, I saw DADGAD. And I figured, you know what, let's just test that out. I got all these guitars, let's try tuning it differently. Let me get this out of the way though. Politics alert! Now I've got my guitar in hand at least. Now my goal is not to make you feel bad for believing in what you believe in. I might make jokes, just be aware of that. I am an independent data analyst, and I think that's important that people know. And through this video, there's going to be edits, yes, but I think it's important that I'm intentional with my message. Instead of wasting your time, I might as well edit out the stuff that's not important and keep in what is. You know what I mean? And really what's on my mind is election integrity and the idea that so many Americans believe that voter ID is necessary. And it baffles me, honestly. And the reason why it baffles me is because, let me just put it this way. When you register to vote, you have a state-issued ID. And the state-issued ID, you probably use, like your birth certificate, to get it. And in order to get a passport, from my understanding, you have to use your birth certificate. So the SAVE Act is something that passed the House, and now it's headed to the Senate. And of course, Donald Trump, politics, is supporting this, and he wants people to nationalize the vote. Because, again, they use this idea that 84% of Americans believe that we need it, on top of comparing a constitutional right, voting, to privileges, like driving a car, buying alcohol. I mean, you name it. And I just don't think that's fair to a constitutional right, that they keep comparing these things to privileges. Now, some of you are going to think about guns, of course, but when you go buy a gun, you're showing one identification. That's about it. And there's also a trap, if you think about it. Let's say you have a prescription, and this prescription is a controlled substance. On the federal form, when you go buy a firearm, there's a yes or no question. And they use the word addicted. In different states, the verbiage is different. Some states, they put the word marijuana. Other states, they put controlled substances. And it's kind of like a trap, because marijuana, cannabis, is a controlled substance. And in states, right, a state's rights, you're allowed to, use them recreationally, like here in Arizona. Check, yes, you are. Guess what? You lose your right to buy that firearm, right? You lose your constitution. You lose the right to exercise your Second Amendment right. Now, let's say you put no, and you do use one of these substances. You're lying, and that's a federal offense. And that's why they got Hunter Biden on, believe it or not. So, election integrity is important to me, and a lot of people don't know this. So I think it's important that I spread the word. And if you haven't heard of them, there's a group called the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. Basically, they monitor like election infrastructure. And there's a group of people in our country who believe that like China, Russia, and Venezuela are hacking our election systems or like the voting systems, right? Or even Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a great example. I keep getting emails from people or comments from people. Oh, did you hear about all these counties over here and there? It's like, yes, I've heard about them. And they're ultimately just statistical anomalies. Yes, there's a lot of voter suppression involved. And, Elon Musk shouldn't be able to give people $1 million to vote for Trump. Plain and simple. But also, Fox News shouldn't be able to ask Donald Trump, will you release the Epstein files? And he basically goes, yeah, and they clip it. He continued to go on, kind of giving himself a way out. And then there's other Republicans, quotes around that, who campaigned on the idea of releasing the Epstein files. So, when you guys are all out there, why didn't Joe Biden? Look, most people thought it was a conspiracy theory, first of all. I remember watching it on Netflix, and I was surprised that they didn't mention much about Trump. And then when I was like, I bet you Trump did it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, I'm just saying he would benefit the most. What do they say? Occam's razor, right? Think about when you go and register. Here in Arizona, I have to show a state-issued ID. And in order to get my state-issued ID, I had to prove I was a U.S. citizen. And I did that because I had my birth certificate, thankfully. Now, a lot of people don't know how to get them. So I want you to think about it. Why do we need to show our birth certificates when we go and register to vote, when the card, your state-issued ID, has already proven it? I want you to think about it like this, right? You're going to the airport, right? And you got your luggage, you got your ticket, you got your ID, and you're going through TSA. Now remember, the ID, you've confirmed you're a U.S. citizen, right? You're legal. So you go through TSA. I keep hitting this. You go through TSA, and you get to TSA, and they're like, hey, you need to show us your birth certificate. And you're like, no one told me this. And of course, they're like, of course we did. It's all over our website, blah, 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 blah. You see where I'm going here with this, right? Most people don't pay attention to news. They don't pay attention to politics at all. They're just living their lives, trying to do their thing. They don't care about any of this stuff. So they're going to show up. They're going to try to go and vote because they think they're already registered, and they're going to have to show their birth certificate. That's basically what's happening here, right? You get to the TSA, and they're like, we need to validate your identification another method. This is America, right? At least I thought it was. This is America. What's going on? Voter ID, at the end of the day, all it solves is voter impersonation. And you're honestly, statistically, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than someone voting underneath your name. In the Heritage Foundation, they actually track voter fraud. So it is real. If I sit here and tell you that there's no voter fraud whatsoever, I'd be lying to you. But to sit here and tell you that voting fraud is material, that would be a lie. And that's what Donald Trump and everybody else want you to believe. There are literally like 5 or 6 cases in every election per state. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, it should be 0, I would tell you we should focus on the murder rate first. Because murder is not 0%, and it's also illegal to do that. Voting is a constitutional right. It's not a privilege. So the next time someone tries to compare voting to like driving a car or buying alcohol, I want you to stop them and say, think about it for a second. That's a privilege. Voting is a constitutional right. And I don't know about you, but I know that a conservative value, at least it was once, states' rights. And I mean, come on. Conservatives overturned Roe v. Wade because it's a state right, which is honestly not true, because a state is not allowed to take rights away from a citizen without due process. And I'm not talking about abortion. I'm talking about healthcare and people's privacy. The 14th Amendment clearly states life, liberty, and a woman, sorry to mansplain to you gentlemen, but a woman having a baby impacts their life. Therefore, a state, a government, cannot make laws that govern that. That's what Roe v. Wade was ruled on. It was like one of the reasons, from my understanding. That's what I've learned. But I want to get back to voting, because when you go and register, I'm going to emphasize this, you're proving you're a citizen. And every state does it their own way. So once you've proven you're a citizen, here in Arizona, you get a voter registration card. And when you go to the poll, they want you to show your ID. Again, that's not stopping anybody from voting underneath my name. I mean, I should say it technically is, but the chances of that happening are very unlikely. Now, do I have a problem showing my driver's license when I go to the poll? No. But what I do have a problem with is when I go and register to have to bring my birth certificate when I have my driver's license that I used to prove, right? It's a federal driver's license, right? It's the federal real ID. You see what I mean? So I've proven that I'm a citizen, and they want to add extra layers to that. So whether it impacts me or not, whether it's a minor inconvenience, isn't the point. The point is it's a constitutional right. And in Kansas, there's a really good case study, the SAFE Act, SAFE. It actually prevented about 31,000 citizens from voting because they didn't know, number one, right? Ignorance, apathy, that plays into this. That's part of the strategy, is that when people get there, they're not allowed to vote. They're not able to vote. And then in a lot of places, they want to stop same-day registration. So you show up, you're not registered, so you want to register, but you can't because there's a fucking law that stops you, trying to stop you from exercising your constitutional right. Now, once you get your ballot, I want you to notice it this year. And maybe you voted in the past, and maybe you didn't notice it, but there's a bunch of little black bars on the side. Those are security markings. And when you throw that ballot through a voting machine, that voting machine knows it's real. And here in my county, in the 2024 election, there were over 250 unique ballots because every precinct has like a different town. We're voting on different bonds, bills, right? Stuff like that. That if I was to get 100 ballots in the mail, first of all, someone would be sending me on purpose a bunch of fake stuff, and it doesn't come from your state. And if I sent those in, I'd be creating a paper trail of fraud. It'd be easy to find me. And illegal immigrants, they come to America. One of the reasons why, at least I believe they come here, is because we allow people to express themselves through voting. We choose our representation. If someone commits voter fraud, you could lose your right to vote indefinitely. So you're telling me they're coming to America, where most people don't even believe their own one vote matters, to go vote for someone who could potentially lose, right? It's a 50-50 chance. Now, Elon Musk, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, Starlink. What does it take to get connected to Starlink? You need a special device. That special device, right, converts the Starlink satellite connection to Wi-Fi. Voting machines don't have a WAN. We call it a wide area network in technology. They only connect to LANs, a local area network. This is a security feature, and states regulate this. So if you think that Elon Musk and others are hacking voting systems, don't forget the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. They would alert us, hopefully, but they would know. And in 2020, I don't know if you know this, but there were so many allegations and so many investigations done, it was actually proven that we have the most secure elections in the world. And we should vote for people who say things like this. I hate to tell people who to vote for, but this is a good indicator. If someone's sitting there and telling you that their voting fraud is widespread, either they're ignorant, willfully ignorant, or they're purposely lying to you because they know the end result is laws that are voter suppression, and only the hardcore dedicated people are going to actually go vote. And if you don't believe in the system, first of all, you need to go vote, right? The more people, the better. Donald Trump tells us base that all the time. Second, if you don't like who's on your ballot at the end, you know how they get on the ballot? The primary. Vote in your primary. Talk to people, right? Conversation really matters here. Otherwise, people are just getting hearsay, which is also social media videos, little clips. That's hearsay. We got to stop the hearsay, and we have to start listening to experts again. All right, so we talk to each other. We stop making everything so personal. When you stop making everything personal and taking everything personal, conversations will go further. But first, you have to acknowledge each other. When someone says something, acknowledge them. But in order to acknowledge them, you have to listen to them, listen to understand them, not to just respond. It's very important. You're going to make them feel human. You're both going to feel better, and keep it open-ended questions, right? Politics is not about you and I. We're Americans, right? Even if you're not a citizen, if you're in this country, and this is what makes America great. I'm getting goosebumps. The 14th Amendment speaks to people and citizens. Now, you get your ballot, it goes through the machine, it validates it's real. Now, in the end, it takes, a month for some states to canvass? And the reason why it takes long is for challenges, audits, recounts. Catch my drift. So those of you who believe the whole county thing, and remember, Kamala Harris isn't taking any of this stuff to court. That's important that you know that. And you also need to remember that Fox News and Dominion voting machines settle for $787 million for defaming them. It's very important that people understand this. And Fox News, their viewers don't know this stuff. Half my family that listens to Fox has no idea about this. And that to me is concerning. I feel like that should be concerning to a lot of people in America, right? So you cast your ballot, they count it all, right? It goes through all these laws. There's laws from the beginning of registration all the way through the ballots and the counting. Again, people, we have the most secure elections in the world. If you don't want to take my word for it, there's a gentleman named Bill Barr. He worked for Donald Trump in his first term. He ran the DOJ. He investigated it. He shouldn't have, right? Why? Because the DOJ is supposed to be separate from the president. If you think that Joe Biden corrupted the DOJ. No, Donald Trump did. That's just a deflection. It's childish fucking logic. I mean, what are you going to do when the Democrats get back into power, if they ever do? Well, Donald Trump did this, so we're going to do that. Think. Make America think again. Critically think. Talk to each other. So, why am I holding a guitar? Might as well play some guitar. I've been focusing on it. I've practiced it. It's something that is like a mental workout for me. This is not a guitar review, right? So if you're just tuning in, you're going to hear mistakes. It's going to be raw. And I just want to say I appreciate you listening, because this is not a topic, or these are not topics people like to talk about. People hear this stuff and they tune out. So if anybody's watching this, thank you, because I really doubt anybody will. I'll probably spend hours making this. But anyways, I appreciate you. My name is Taylor. And again, I'm an independent analyst. And I run the Strategic Owl, thestrategicowl.com. strategicowl.substack.com, free subscription. And if you do subscribe at the paid level, I do give AI language model technical tips, saves you time. And in our world, a lot of people are losing their jobs because of AI. So I think it's important that you learn it. It's important you learn it. That way you're not as manipulative from it, and you can start using it to build yourself something. All right? So, what is this? This is a fretboard I built using AI to help me understand coding. So again, this is in DADGAD. So I have it tuned. And you can download this app on the iPhone App Store. Soon I'll get it on the Android store. $12.99. And you can choose pretty much obviously any note. But I've got 44 different scale modes in here. And you can change between all the way up to 8 string guitars. You could choose basses. And, instead of spending $50, $60 on a bunch of books that you carry around like I used to, you just download my app. And I'll have an image down here so you can kind of take a look at what I'm playing. So with that said, I'm going to reset my camera so it doesn't overheat. And I just appreciate y'all. So I'll be right back. Welcome back. Even though it's only a second. Again, I'm new, and I'm not used to this tuning, but just give me a second. I'll play something really nice. That's what I'm looking for. Freedom. I'm just used to playing that over here because when you take, those of you not familiar with what I'm doing when I say D, and these are tuned down, basically that means like this here is an E, and that would be the normal note. When I said it's a D. Okay? That would be a normal tune on an open tune, like an open plug. Guitar people, you're like, ah, man, shut up and play. So with these two strings, I'm used to playing something like that, but it's further up here, like that. They're different notes because it's down, it's tuned down. Maybe I should just get used to playing it there. So here's the idea behind this tune. So this is supposed to be freedom. And that's freedom of speech. It's important to me. I was lost. How about we end it there? It's been a long video. Again, thanks for watching. I'll come out with more of these. There's other things I focus on. I like to write on my Substack, like I said. I do YouTube shorts, and just FYI, on the YouTube shorts, you're going to notice that there's a little satire that happens in there, but you got to capture people, blah, blah. In our world, we all know that there's things called clickbait. And in order to drive a video in an algorithm, what people are trying to do is capture your attention within like the first 5 to 10 seconds. And the more people that you capture within that 5 to 10 seconds and they keep watching, the algorithm theoretically is going to throw it to more people. So that's really why people are clickbaity in the front. And then, of course, think about when you're scrolling through things. And if you have like auto play on, that's the first thing that plays, first 5-10 seconds. And that's cool. People are going to click it. Or it's your thumbnail. And people watch videos like they root for books or look for books. People watch videos like they look for books. And don't judge a book by its cover, but everybody judges videos by their cover. That's our world. And I'm trying to lead into a different one. So more people need to stop like giving all their money to like major subscriptions. All these, think about all the stuff you pay for that you don't use. And think about how much advertising's in your world. All right. Now, if more people paid directly to places like, say, the NFL, like say, if everybody who watched the NFL all year round, instead of paying for broadcast television, they paid the NFL directly, they may not have to advertise so much. I'm just saying. I mean, they still might, capitalism, right? But you get my point. I want to live in a world where maybe that isn't such a factor, where we are like an attention-based economy. Because your phones, as much as people think, oh, our phones are stealing, what's stealing is like the advertising companies, right? You have like a Gmail account, that's what's stealing your shit. And trust me, there's a lot more in-depth stuff there, but I don't want to go on forever. Peace out, America. I love you. Politics alert. Now I've got my guitar in hand at least.